Hey everybody, welcome to Players Take episode 279. I'm your host Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you doing today on this fine July 4th?
I'm okay. I was chilling and I completely forgot about recording today, so I apologize about that.
Yep, he forgot about the pod, everybody. No, obviously July 4th is Thursday, so we're recording a day early, which is not normal for us, of course. But yeah, this is probably going to end up being a pretty short episode. There's not a lot of news going on this week, so unless Montreal and I find some diatribe to go on, which is very possible. We'll see. We'll see how long this one ends up being. So, Montreal, how's life treating you? Just work, everything good at work, and how are the classes going?
I'll get through it. That's all I gotta say. Like, I'll get through it.
That's good. I took a few days off this week, so I'm kind of chilling right now. Which is good. I kind of needed it. I've been going really hard the last 2 or 3 months, so I'm just gonna chill this week. I'm not doing anything. I'm not gonna be doing anything other than like the yard. I'm not doing anything crazy. No crazy projects or anything. So I'm just gonna chill and play some games, which is good. But all right, well then, Montreal, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the show proper here. So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, in YouTube. No more Google Podcasts. It's still slipping out every once in a while. God, I fucking hate that. And we are, like I said, we are on YouTube. Check the channel out there. You can check the videos out there. We are, we're working on posting some stuff on the channel a little bit more often. I did do a video a couple months ago, Stellar Blade review, if you guys never saw it. But we will be doing more stuff here in the near future. So check that out. Subscribe to us on there for notifications and just subscribe to the channel, of course, which will help us out greatly. And then if you'd like to send us questions that we'll answer here on the show, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will most definitely answer those on the show. All right, Montreal, let's get into what we've been playing. I'll go ahead and start out today. So I've mostly been playing Against the Storm. I got back into this game in the past week. I'm getting deeper into it now. I'm actually like kind of pushing, I think I'd mentioned last week I hit a difficulty wall with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to push past it finally. So I don't know if I've ever kind of explained the way this game works. So this game has 24 difficulty levels built into it, and it is a roguelite. So your settlements are you're building your little settlements, and the goal of the game is to get 14 reputation points. Generally, that's usually the goal. The first 4 difficulties are kind of ramp up in difficulty a little bit, and they add new layers of mechanics that you need to contend with and deal with in order to beat the levels. However, when you get to the 4th one, which is called Viceroy, you hit something called prestige difficulty after that, and there are 20 prestige difficulty levels after that, and this is where the core crux of the game kind of comes into play. And I was stuck at prestige 1. I just, like, for whatever reason, I tried a settlement on prestige 1, and I got wrecked. Like, I couldn't get through it. That was the only time I've ever lost a settlement so far. Was my first attempt on Prestige 1. It put this past week, I actually pushed through it. I got through that. So that what that does is that first level increases the reputation you need from 14 to 18, which is a significant jump, actually, because the way the game works, you get these things called orders on the maps in your settlements when you're doing them, and you need to do certain things in order to fulfill the... Like, it'll just be, they're basically like little quests that the game gives you within the settlement that you have to do.
Okay.
And when you do them, though, you get a reputation point, like a full point. And there are 9 of those per settlement. So you can get 9 of your reputation from the orders if you do those. And then before Prestige 1, you only needed to get 5 more reputation from various things, whether that's high resolve from your from the people in your settlement, or your you're doing like glade events, and those that might give you reputation or something like that. You needed only 5, which was which was pretty easy to handle for the most part. So going up to 18 significantly makes it significantly harder, because now you need 9 points that are not from orders for sure, guaranteed, and potentially more if the orders you get are too difficult for you to do or impossible for you to do for some reason. So it kind of changes the way you have to play a lot. You have to focus a lot more on really building towards kind of an end game state where you are getting a lot of reputation really fast, which is not, once you're into the game, it's not like super hard, but sometimes like you kind of have to, there's different map types that have different types of resources and events that you might run into and stuff. And you kind of have to adapt to what your situation is, because if you don't, you'll get locked in a position. And this is where I failed. That one time I failed where I could not gain reputation. Like I literally couldn't complete any of my orders. I was unable to make anything, which didn't allow me to complete glade events. And then I had glade events that were, I couldn't complete them. And if you let them linger, they will have a negative effect on your settlement eventually. It doesn't take that long for that to happen. So that's what happened. I stacked 2 or 3 of those because I was trying to get to one that I could actually do, which would give me some reputation that would allow me to then maybe break out of the lock I was in, but it didn't work in that specific instance. So that's where the difficulty of the game comes in. It's a very complicated, the game's got a very complicated system when you kind of get into it. At like, if describing it to you guys is probably not going to sound that complicated. Like, you have your workers, your basic workers. So there's 5 different races. There's humans, foxes, beavers, lizards, and harpies. Those are the 5. You can only take 3 of those different races with you to any given settlement, and they all have their own needs that they need fulfilled for food, leisure activities, and housing that will increase their resolve. And that is one of the primary ways later in the game for you to gain reputation, is to fulfill those needs, which increases their resolve to the point where it's like it breaks a threshold where it's like positive. Well, not positive, but like there's like a break point for every race. When you hit that, you start gaining reputation naturally. Like every minute, they'll give you rep for that. So that's kind of the main cycle of the game. But this is all interweaved into exploring the map you're on, and like going into, because basically the way the game starts is you're in what is called a glade, and it gives you 2 buildings, your hearth and your main warehouse, and then it gives you all the workers that you have to start, and that's it. You have to build from there. But you're in a forest, so you're surrounded by other glades, and there are various sizes. There's small glades, there's dangerous glades, and then there's one above dangerous. They're like, forbidden glades is the third one. And the those have various levels of kind of resources or events, or other things that you will find inside of them, but they are hidden. Like there's a fog of war over them until you break through the forest, like you get through the tree line where you actually have a path to it. So they're not revealed until you do that. And basically the small glades are fairly benign. Generally, they're usually just, they have a few small resource nodes. They might have like a little mini event that's really easy to complete or isn't threatening to your settlement in any way. And then they might have like a geyser for rainwater or something like that. Generally, but dangerous and forbidden glades are where it gets interesting. Those are the ones where they will have events that give you negative effects if you don't complete them, but they will also, this is the problem, you need specific resources for specific types of events. So if you aren't able to fulfill those needs, the event will just sit there. But let's say you can actually fulfill the needs. A lot of events, depending on, you get to pick 2 different ways to complete the event. Depending on which one you pick, there might be a negative modifier you get while the event is being completed. So that will further impact you. Like for instance, there's one that's pretty common where you get like -300 hostility, which is very bad. Hostility is the main way the game kind of forces you. Hostility lowers your resolve, basically. Like if I'm explaining this in a really basic way, it does other things as well, but that's the main thing that it does, and it's the biggest impact thing that it does. So it'll lower the resolve of your workers. So 300 is 3 full levels of hostility, and that is a huge jump. So if you did that in the middle of the storm, you would be in big trouble probably. So the game is, there's just a lot going on in the game, keeping track of it all. You can pause at any time, so it's not like you're like, having to figure all this out on the fly necessarily. I do quite a bit of pausing myself, but I'm trying to get to the point where I'm like getting through these settlements a little bit more quickly though, because they take an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on how long the settlement is, like how many years in terms of actual time. But when you're pausing and kind of doing all sorts of shit in the interface, like it can elongate that significantly. Where mine have been probably taking 3 or 4 hours to complete. So I'm trying to get that time down where I'm pausing less and, just kind of getting through it, But so yeah, I don't know. The game's fun. I've gotten through Prestige 1. Prestige 2 makes the storm twice as long, which is storm. There's 3 seasons in the game: drizzle, clearance, and storm. Storm is the one that is very threatening to you. There's like really bad effects that happen in the storm, and you kind of have to like hunker down for the storm. And you might have to like stop your workers from your woodcutters from cutting wood. That lowers your hostility, and like doing some other things. You might have to like sacrifice resources at the hearth, or something like that. But yeah, so it's Prestige 2 doubles the length of the storm to 4 minutes from 2, which is weird because if you're able to deal with it, it actually makes things easier for you as the player because it makes the years 2 minutes longer, which is a good thing. And then Prestige 3 spawns Blight Cysts every 3 years in the clearance season, which Blight Cysts will corrupt your hearth during the storm. You have to like it's kind of interesting. There's like this basically like firefighter system where you like have to make flamethrowers for your workers to use, and they will go burn the cysts like they're firefighters sort of. So that's what 3 does, and then I think I just did 4, which what did 4 do? Oh yeah, 4 increased the cost of re-rolling blueprints by 10 amber, which is not anything. That one is actually the lightest one so far that I've had to deal with. So I'm continuing on. I don't know if I'm going to get all the way to 20. I'm going to probably try, but from what I've read, like I went and read all the difficulty modifiers that they add, and some of them are fucking insane. Around 10, 11, 12. They start getting really crazy with it where they like completely neuter entire game mechanics. So I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it all the way up there, but I'm going to try. And yeah, I'm enjoying the game a lot. It's very fun. I would really recommend it for anybody who's into city builders and kind of wants something a little bit more. You're not necessarily looking for that like chill kind of thing. You're looking for something a little more challenging in a city builder realm. Like this is definitely a good one to try. The game is not like I'll be honest, the game is not super hard. It's just really stressful. You feel like it's harder than it is, because like once you get going, you kind of overtake the impatience mechanic, which is how you lose ultimately. Once you get over that hump in any given settlement, you're usually on the track to winning, and you're just kind of playing out the string. But getting there sometimes can be really difficult. So yeah, it's pretty fun. City builders generally are a little bit more cozy and kind of laid back from what I know of them, but and this one's not really that different in that regard. It's just more active, I guess. Like the game is definitely throwing things at you to make you lose, but yeah, it's a very fun game. So I would definitely recommend it. Montrell, do you have any interest in city builders? Have you ever played a city builder before?
When I was younger, I used to play them, but not so much now anymore. It's not that I don't have any interest in them. I don't think I have the time.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think that because I'm in the same boat, right? Like it's a genre that definitely interests me, but this game had the mechanics, I guess, and like the roguelite aspect of it brought me in enough to give it a try, and it was cheap enough. I think it's like $30. I don't even think it's that expensive. It might be 40, but it was cheap enough where I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll give this game a try. And then I like start playing, and I'm like, I get like fucking addicted to it, man. And to your point, like it's very time consuming. It's not a game. Um, like I said, it's taking me 3 or 4 hours to finish a settlement sometimes. And it's like that's a lot of time to put into these games. So but it's worth it to me. I think I've had a lot of fun with it. I don't know how much longer I'm necessarily going to play it, but right now I'm really into it. So yeah. Outside of that, just League once or twice with you guys. We started playing ranked a little bit more, and that's been kind of fun. I definitely feel like League's in a good spot. Like I still feel that way. I know we had talked about this a week or two ago, but yeah, no, I still feel like the game's in a pretty good spot. Like there's not champions that are just like super broken bullshit, or at least we're not running into them all the time, the way we were before. So I don't know, game feels pretty good right now too. What about you? What have you been playing?
Yeah, I was playing a little bit of Near. I haven't got really too far into it. And I was playing League with you guys. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I feel like League in norms it's okay. In ranked, it's totally a different game. There are certain champions that I just will not play, or I just will ban outright. Lilia being one of them. I think
Mm-hmm.
she's completely busted. I think Brand is still completely busted at the moment. Uh, and then just as far as like the team IQ and stuff like that, I feel like I don't know. I feel like this season is worse. I don't know if they did something to like the rank system or something like that, or how you climb and matchmake and stuff like that. It just seems like teammates have gotten significantly worse. I used to be able to carry myself out of a lot of games. And they always say like have a small champion pool and stuff like that. But I legitimately used to be able to carry myself out of the game with like Warwick and Kendrick being my main. I cannot carry myself out with Kendrick, and it's not because I I don't think I'm bad. I'm looking at like VOD reviews and reviewing my shit and everything like that, and 100% of the time, I think I like the mute features in the game, but I think muting pings is a little bit too far because there have been legitimate times where I've watched a review or watched a replay, and I'll see someone coming and I'll ping to my laner like, hey, this person's coming. I'll ping to them 5 times before the ping system like blocks me from pinging for about
Yeah.
5 seconds. They will not pay attention. They get ganked, and that one or two ganks will snowball the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
At least in rank, the games feel very snowbally. Especially for bot lane. I think bot lane in particular, they're like very terrible players. And it's because they're focused on farming, but they don't realize that their lane is now more gankable than ever. Especially if you're on the blue side. If you're on the blue side, then your lane, you can get ganked from like right under your tower, and you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's like the first season, all these changes happened, so people are still getting used to it. But it's like the middle of the season now, and it's just I don't know. I think players are just bad. Like I think they gotten used to like the old item system too much and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. And then on top of that, with the way that they've been doing bans and stuff like that, me and Jet, so the ban system doesn't work. To let everybody know, I didn't want to post it in Reddit because you can't post names in Reddit. But one guy literally queued up with me and Jet in ranked. He queued up with us, or we were in the champ select or whatever, and he picked Diana. He didn't do anything else. Like he picked Diana, and then we went through the entire loading screen, and then he left the game. Like
what the fuck?
So then we remade, right? So okay, we're just gonna remake. So we remade. We didn't lose any LP or anything like that. And the system notified us that player has been penalized.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys get, 2 free games of auto of like, you get your primary fill, your primary thing. You won't get auto filled, or you won't get your secondary. You'll get primary thing. So we were in champ select for we were in the whatchamacallit for 2 minutes. I believe the block, when you do that, when you get the rank block thing,
Mm-hmm.
you're on low priority for the first offense, and then like the second offense, you're like a 10-minute queue wait or whatever, or something like that. So we queue up for the second with 2 minutes. I think it's actually 10 minutes. You're on low priority or whatever, 5 to 10 minutes. Um, and in rank, you can't see the name of people because they got that's stupid too. I think that's the dumbest change they ever did. And they did that to prevent dodging, but people still dodge anyway. And there's no way to also report players. I mean, there's a play to report players, but um, I've had to dodge like one game because they picked the Yumi top. They picked a who do they pick support? They picked something weird support, and then they picked like someone else picked something bot lane, and I was just like, I'm not playing this game. Like, I'm not about to waste my fucking time with this shit. So, because the one of the people wouldn't switch with the Yumi, so the Yumi's like, I'm just gonna go fucking top then, and it's just like, all right, I can report you. It gives you the report icon, but I don't know your name, so I can avoid you again. Like, I can't do anything about that because it just says like Gromp Raptor, whatever, whatever. Anyway, getting back to the story, queue up again, 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes in queue. Go through champ select. We get Diana Jungle again. We're like, I'm like, no, it's not the same guy. It's not the same fucking guy. So me and Jen's like, no, it's not the same guy. It's just he picked a different skin too. So we were like, okay, this is not the same guy. Then we get into loading. It's the same fucking guy. He does the same fucking thing. He literally just sits in fountain and then remakes. And we're like, why? How is this a thing?
Yeah.
So
What does he get out of that? I don't understand.
exactly, I literally don't know, but it's a thing that people are doing, and it literally makes no fucking sense. Like, people will literally go through champ select and then just quit then just AFK in fountain, and I thought it was like a one-off thing, but a lot of people are doing it, and I just don't understand why Riot isn't doing anything about it. Like, I think the state of the game itself is okay, like the way the items are right now, and some of the champions, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 champions that are like completely fucking busted. But the player base and the experience of getting into the games and the games themselves, the quality of the games are fucking terrible. And that's the player. It's the players that we're encountering. And then on top of that, if you do a serious offense in ranked, then you have to play 5 normal games. So then if I want to take a break off of ranked, and I'm just like, okay, I just want to go into normal games because people are fucking crazy in ranked. I go into normal games and I get these same fucking tryhards because they got banned in ranked and they got to do 5 ranked games. They're coming over to my normal games and they fucking up my normal games. And then on top of that, or you gotta do ARAM games. So not only are you being, I don't mind you being an asshole in rank. That's where you're supposed to be kind of an asshole because like everyone's tryharding. But now you bring your assholeness into the ARAM, into norms where people are like trying new champions, or we're just having fun or whatever the case may be, and you're being a fucking asshole. And it's just creating an overall toxic environment. Vanguard has done nothing to stop the bots. We encountered a literal fucking bot the other day, which is the Heimerdinger. That was a literal fucking bot that you got swapped for top 4. Because I checked his history. All he plays is Heimerdinger. All he plays is bot lane, and he goes 0 in whatever in lane the entire fucking time. So that was a literal bot. So Vanguard's done nothing to do stop bots. It's done nothing to stop Smurfs. It's done nothing to stop scripters because there are still people who are scripting in the game. So I don't understand why we have this system that we have. My match quality is not better. You blocking my chats is not making the game better for me. I'm a grown ass man. If someone calls me a fucking retard, I don't care. I can mute them myself. The system doesn't have to do that for me. obviously we're spam pinging people because there's a fucking problem. If I'm spam pinging you, I understand people use it for nefarious reasons, but you can just literally mute their pings. Don't mute my ping and say you gotta wait 5 seconds to do it. I'm spam pinging him because there's somebody about to gank him, and he needs to understand that there's somebody about to gank him. But I can't do that because Riot is so, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And again, these players are making the match quality like you can literally get players that go AFK or they run it down or whatever, and let me call them a retard in chat, and then I get banned. And it's like, but they literally just run it down mid. I literally watched them pick Nunu support and just run it down mid, and I get banned for that. Like I get banned for reacting the way I react to it. So it's not making any sense to me. So I only play like maybe one or two ranked games. If even that, I just play norms now because it's like ranked is just so toxic. I don't think rank's in a good spot. I think once they get off vacation and for season 15, they really need to reanalyze how they do matchmaking because it is a fucking shit show. It is not fun. I'm not the only person complaining about it. High elo players are complaining about it. Low elo players are complaining about it. It's not fun for anybody because even if you're like a new person, sometimes if it's your very first time, they'll place you in emerald tier or whatever for your very first 5 matches, and you ruin people emerald players fucking matches and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just think they need to fix the game, fix the rank system all overall. I've never seen it this bad before. I've never, almost every season I've been able to climb myself out of fucking silver. I cannot get out of silver to save my fucking life unless I play a elo inflated champion. I have to play meta to get out of silver, and I refuse to do that because that's not my play style. Like I don't like to be the off meta guy, but I like to play champions that I know like the back of my hand. It's just right now like the game is not tailored for that. The game is tailored for meta picks right now. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I guess I was speaking. I guess I was speaking from. I mean, I'm not playing as much as you, so I'm probably playing like a fifth of the games you are, or maybe a quarter. So I'm not as in tune with all this stuff as you are. But I'm also speaking from the ADC perspective, I guess, in that I feel like ADCs are in a good spot. I know you feel like it's probably not, but me personally playing the games, like I feel like if like I feel like I'm having a high impact in every game we play. It should be that way. There were prior seasons that we played that was not the case. Like where I felt like I was doing no damage or I couldn't kill people. Like I don't feel that way this season at all. Everybody I'm playing, like Jin and Vayne primarily. Varus, I'll get into Varus in a second. But Jin and Vayne, like, dude, if I get to late game and I'm ahead of everybody, like I am blowing people up. I'm blowing everybody up. It's just fucking, it is absurd. Like the amount of damage that is being thrown out. So I feel like in that realm, like things are okay. At least for me. Especially like Jin, I feel like has been there have been seasons where I feel like he's not as good. He's just not hitting as hard. This is not one of those times. It's just like he is hitting like a fucking truck, dude. Like 2-3 shotting people, and it, after the mid game, is pretty much kind of been the norm in the games that I played at least. And then Vayne, once she gets to a certain threshold, like third item or so, she's online and it's over, dude. Like in fights if people aren't killing her. So I don't know. I think in that regard, I mean, I'm speaking from a pretty limited perspective though of 2 or 3 champions that I'm playing in one specific role. Like I'm not playing multiple roles either. So I don't know. In that regard, like I feel like the game is better than it's been. There were definitely periods where the ADC role was just not an impact role in League, and that felt completely pointless to me. Like there was like no point in even fucking playing the role at that point. I don't feel like that's the case right now, but
No,
I know you guys are running into bad players though for sure.
I agree with you. I think ADC is a very powerful role, and I think that's it being so powerful.
Well, it means it's important though that
Yeah,
the player
yeah,
you have playing it is actually like competent. Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
I think ADC this season has separating the good ADC players from the bad ADC players.
Mm-hmm.
Because before you could skirt by being a bad ADC player and let the jungler or the mid laner carry you or the top laner.
Mm-hmm.
Now a lot of power is dependent. So if you go 0-3 in lane as an ADC, that's very crucial to the team because now we're behind. And yeah, they have a fucking fat Jin and he's already got 3 items. So he's
Yeah.
75% crit already. He's zooming across the map already now. Like we can't touch him.
But I even had that happen though with Vayne. Like I was playing Vayne against a Jin, and me and Jet got wrecked in lane. Like it was that exact situation that you just played out, where I was like, 0-4 or something, and the Jin was like, was wrecking, and we managed to come back and win the game. We probably shouldn't have, but later in the game, I caught up enough to have high impact in the fights despite being behind. So
Yeah.
that has not typically been true in the past with League. I feel like once you were behind, you were behind. It was over. You weren't coming back even if you played well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that feels a little different now. And I will say, like, dude, in terms of, it just feels different. Like I had a couple games recently where I what did I have, like 95,000 damage or something as Jin. I've never fucking done that, like ever. I've never done anything close to that before, and that's happening in this season. So I do feel like it's different. I don't know. That it's just maybe I'm just a better player now or something. And I wasn't playing as well before, but I don't necessarily feel like that's exactly the case either. I just feel like the meta is in a different spot right now. So I think ADC is a very important role in the game right now, though, which is good to me,
Yeah.
at least. But
I think it's a good thing overall. I mean, because I at first I thought the role was just dead. I was like, they might just get rid of the fucking role.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but yeah, now I feel like it's in a very good spot. And it's in a very good spot to where you can play a mage down there
mm-hmm.
too,
Yeah,
and actually still survive the game. As a physical ADC, if you're playing against the mage, before it
mm-hmm.
was like mages were ruling the bot lane, you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But now since they made the jump to making the ADC items, I call it pre pre mythic buffs. Because before the mythic items came into play, ADC items were 25% per crit item, or like the Zeal items were 25%. They were like that
Oh,
before, and they
wow.
pretty much
Okay.
just reverted it back to that. Um, and I think that's why ADCs feel good now because they just reverted it back to
That's interesting.
preseason 12 or 11 whenever we went over to the
Okay.
to that thing. So that's why they feel so good right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that change, that 25% crit per item change was huge. Like, because I mean that gives you a whole slot that you can do whatever you want with. And depending on the character, like for instance with Vayne, like I've been buying Jock Show like as like my fourth item, maybe. Fourth or fifth item, depending on the game, just to get some defense, and some just a little bit of tankiness.
Yeah.
And it works really well. I'm still wrecking people, dude, like even with that, one item dedicated to pure defense. So I like like it feels like I have a little bit more flexibility, I guess is what I'm trying to say with some of the builds for ADCs, which is not, again, wasn't the case when mythics were around. You were kind of locked into a very specific build path before. And
Which
so
I am glad they got rid of the mythics. I think that was
yeah,
a hindrance
yeah,
in the game and very toxic for
yeah.
the game overall.
No, agreed. I think I remember when this season was launching, we were hoping that it would bring flexibility back into item building, where you could actually pivot in the middle of a game depending on, like, change up your build a little bit depending on what the enemies are doing. And I think they accomplished that goal. So there is that. I do think I do feel like certain I don't know, certain roles are definitely like not in a great spot right now. It does feel like it doesn't feel like top laners are very high impact at this point,
Good.
which is good. Yeah, I think it's a good. I don't know. That's why I'm saying I feel like the game's in a good spot, but I'm talking from the perspective of the role where I feel like ADCs are the most powerful right now. Like in that. So for me, of course, that's a good thing. I guess is what I'm saying, but.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm enjoying playing with you guys. I'm trying not to play too much because I don't want to get to the point where I'm just like, I fucking hate this game and don't want to play again anymore. But I do want to play some more, and I kind of want to play. I do want to like try out other roles again, like maybe move off ADC sometimes. As much as I'm enjoying the role a lot, I've gotten really locked into like a 3 or 4 champion pool of characters that I'm playing. Like I really don't play anybody else
Okay.
um right now, and I kind of want to get a. I like variety. I like variety in my MOBAs. I don't like playing the same characters all the time. So, um, but yeah, it's been pretty good. So, all right, Montrell. What else have you been playing outside of League?
That's pretty much it for right now, to be honest with you.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention Varus. Actually, I was going to talk about his rework. Bro, they killed my boy. Like he sucks. He sucks right now. Um, I don't know if it's like a item build thing. I don't know what to build on him, or I'm not doing the right build path. But he does not feel good at the moment.
Yeah, they say you're supposed to build one hit on them now.
Yeah, that sounds like that's the only thing that's viable. I haven't actually tried that in a game yet. I just don't like that build on him that much. Like I don't think it's that good. Like Vayne does on hit way better than he does.
Yeah, so why pick him if he can?
So
If
why?
he,
Yeah, exactly. Why
yeah,
even pick him? I play both characters. Like, why would I play Varus? Like, I don't want to play Varus like that. So I'm a little frustrated because his early game is dog shit now. Like, he's terrible in lane now. Like, it's fucking horrifying. Like, he if he gets pushed on and can't get a champion kill in that fight, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose hard. So it's yeah, it's not in a great spot right now. Like, and the point, like, this is where I get frustrated with these games where they reworked Varus because he was a problem in pro play, not because he was a problem anywhere else. And I find that really fucking frustrating because I'm like a Varus main. Like, he's probably been my main character in League. I probably played more games as him than anyone else.
hmm
Um, and yeah, they just like neutered the character. It's like, I mean, sure, you can say like, oh, well, you need to play him more and like figure out how to play him now. And it's like, sure, I can do that, but it may just be a thing that he's just not that good anymore now. It's like, and that kind of fucking blows if that's the case. So I don't know. I'm gonna give him a shot in norms. I am not playing him in ranked until I figure him out a little bit more. Because he's just not the type of champ. He's not a mobile champion. So if he can't kill people faster or as fast as Vayne and Jin do later in the game, like what is even the point of the character?
yeah,
He doesn't bring anything to the table like those two do in any other way. So I don't know. It's just a little frustrating. I think they went a little. I think they went overboard with what they were trying to do. Because like he feels okay late game, but again, like I would rather have a character that feels better throughout the game, like Jin, than him. At this point. So
yeah. I don't like when they nerf champions for pro play. They did the same thing to Akali. She was a
yeah,
problem in pro play, but she had
yeah,
like a 41% win rate in ranked, or yeah, in ranked or whatever. So it's
yeah.
a very high skilled, um, hard to learn. Once you master it though, she's like really good. And that's also why they won't bring back activatable items anymore, except for certain items, because she had combos revolving around that stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
once you get her in, once she was in pro play and she was like a problem in pro play, they just fucking gutted her into the state that she is now. And then she was a problem last season or last patch, last
Yeah,
couple patches rather. She was a problem because her E literally did more damage. Like her shuriken, when she throws the shuriken on you and then comes back on
yeah,
you,
yeah.
that literally did more damage than her ult.
Jesus,
It was fucking
wow,
crazy.
that
So
is insane.
it was a death sentence once you got E'd. If you got E'd, that was it. You already knew you were dead. But they nerfed it, and I think she's in a good spot now. She still requires a bit of skill. But yeah, I mean, they essentially did the same thing to Akali and like other champions. Like when Silas was being used a lot in pro play, they nerfed him. He used to be able to get the full utilization of his W, you had to be 50% below his health. Now they changed it to 40% below his health, and that's like detrimental
Mm-hmm.
now to get the full benefits of his W. But yeah, that's because he's being used in pro play. And I'm like, I mean, are we just going to nerf every champion because literally the 1% of people that are using these champions are broken? Like they're
Well,
pros, they're supposed to do that, you know?
I just think these games need to think about this a little differently with the way they handle pros and pro play. Is I I don't think it should be outside of the realm of reality that they have separate rule sets for the pro players in their tournaments than they do for normies playing regular league. You know, because yeah, I don't think they should be. You can't balance the game in such a way where you're going to fulfill everybody's needs, you know, and satisfy everyone. And um, to me, you should be catering to the vast majority of your player base, not the 1%, you know? That's my opinion on it. I don't know. Like, because what I'm saying is if you want to make a change to Varus, change him in pro play. Like, don't change him for the 99% of us, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and maybe that would be too difficult for them to do, and they don't want to bother. They don't want to have two different things they're balancing separately, and I do get that. That would be annoying, but I mean, I've seen other companies do it, like Blizzard did it with Overwatch, I think. And you know, it would be something worth exploring to me. Um, you know, where a character like Varus is not a problem at our level of play, you know? Like he's like a below sub 50% win rate character by a mile. Um, so you take that and you're going to tank it even further now. It's like, you know, you go from a 48% win rate to probably like 44 or 45. It's like, you know, like, is that a good idea? Like, is that a good thing to do to a character? Like, I think that's fucking stupid, you know? So I don't know. Just because in pro play, pros would figure out how to play the fucking character like crazy good. You know, I don't know. It's because it's different. It's a different game for them. You know, they're playing highly coordinated with four other people that they play with all the time. They practice together and they come up with strategies and tactics and maneuvers and shit. We're not doing that down here in the pub land. You know, like we aren't. We're playing with random people we don't know. Like we're not doing that kind of shit. You know, so balancing the game for that higher level, which then comes down and affects us, like it sucks. It doesn't feel good. You know, I just think that's really frustrating. So frankly, I would rather pros have their own rule set. I think it would make more sense. But
Yeah, I think people would be upset by it, but I don't know.
yeah, because they wouldn't be able to fucking copy their strategies because the game would actually literally be different. So, oh, God forbid you learn how to play the game for yourself.
Yeah, I just figure the way I look at pro play is the way I look at like the NBA or whatever. And it's like the shit that you do in the NBA, like maybe you may, you know, go up for a three and then kind of move your body in a certain way so that you can get a foul where you're going up, or you know,
Yeah.
you run to the hole or whatever, and then you know you move your body a certain way so you can get the draw in the foul or whatever. You wouldn't do that in street ball. So like because there is no ref. You know what I'm saying? Like it's street ball, you know? And it's like that's how I would look at it as well. Like, or even like if you're playing tennis, maybe the rules are the same. The general rules are the same. Like, you know, this is out of bounds, this is a love, this and that and the third. But it's just like, you know, pro tennis players are playing on a totally different level. So just because they can hit like 100-mile serves, you nerf the rackets now? Like
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's what league is. That's what league is. It's like that's what league is doing. It's like if in basketball the NBA was like change the rule of the way 3-points work, and that affects everybody who plays basketball around the entire planet. Like that's not how it works, obviously. So it's like, unfortunately, this is a video game, and it obviously it's different as a result. But I think that's kind of the point I'm getting at is that like we are at a different level of skill, and as such, I think require different balance as a result. Because I don't know, it's just gutting a champion because of pros, like that sucks. Like if Varus is unviable now, I'm gonna be pissed. Like if I can't like play the character realistically. Like if I play him and it's significantly impacting the team because I'm playing him and not someone else, like that's gonna suck, dude.
Yeah,
Because he's my
I think
favorite character to play.
I think they could have moved numbers around. They didn't have to totally rework him like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
Callista, for example, terrible win rate, and she's hardly picked in norms or in rate, but she has a high pro play and she has a high playability in pro play. That's because she's a champion that literally requires the coordination of her team. She can pull her
Yeah.
support out of situations and then use the ult in certain ways and everything of that nature. And that literally requires coordination. Um, and they did nerf her to where her ult doesn't come up as often anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you were playing her in ranked, I don't feel like that particular change would totally change the champion the way you play the champion in lane. And they nerfed her E as well. The way how she throws the spears in you and then I think it explodes. They kind of nerfed that as well.
Yeah.
But she is one of those champions though where she's just inherently good for pro play. Jarvan's another champion, just inherently good for pro play. Sojourner, just inherently good for pro play. Those are like pro play champions that you can't just be like, well, they're too good in pro play, so we're just gonna nerf the fuck out of them. And it's like,
Yeah.
but what about in rank, bro? Like, like
Right.
what about in norms? I don't know. It's just they do need to figure out. I think games going forward, if you're gonna have a pro scene, like you gotta take even in like Counter Strike and stuff like that, like um yeah, that's a good example. Like in Counter Strike and Halo, they didn't nerf the BR because pro players are just using the BR all the time in Halo. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They didn't nerf certain weapons in Counter Strike because the sniper rifle was inherently really good at one shotting people. Um, People adapted to it or whatever. But granted, I don't know too much about Counter Strike, so maybe they did nerf the numbers in certain things or whatever. But I know for a fact they didn't nerf damage numbers in like and Halo or whatever. It was always the BR was just like king, and then other people like adapted around that. Granted, that made the weapon selection stale, but it was still a thing that both the normal players decided to do and the pro players decided that this was the best weapon
Mm-hmm.
to go forward with or whatever. And I don't know, like you have 150 champions or 140 champions or something like that. Like things are going to be broken no matter what you do. I mean, that's kind of your fault
Mm-hmm.
for putting your own self in this situation, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they should maybe or like because they do a thing where the pro players play on a patch earlier than the rest of the world. So sometimes they may play like two patches back, and their game or two patches back, and then once they're like 2 weeks later, then their game's on the current patch that we were on, but then we're like a patch or two ahead of them. So we are playing technically on different games of League, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but they eventually merge the two. It's not like they're not like we're not on divergent paths, Like we're just either behind or ahead of where they are. It's we're gonna be in the same place though eventually.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll mess around with them some more. I may just start playing some other ADCs though, just to change it up a little bit. So, all right, Moncho, you said you're not playing anything else, right? That you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I'm not playing anything else.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, let's get into the news. We only have a couple stories this week, both from Capcom. First one is confirmation that Resident Evil 9 is in development. Oh, surprise, surprise. Who couldn't have guessed that? But the director, Koshi Nakanishi, yes.
Yep.
He was the director of Resident Evil 7, was talking, and he said that they, quote, "It was really difficult to figure out what to do after Resident Evil 7, but I found it, and to be honest, it feels substantial. I can't share any details just yet, but I hope you're excited for the day I can, end quote. So that's pretty much all he said. But places are running with this and saying this is confirmation that Resident Evil 9 is in the works. I obviously that seems to be the case based on the quote. It's not like he is implying there that he's working on a Resident Evil game, I think. But yeah. So Resident Evil 9, Montreal, you excited?
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a Resident Evil game, so I'm always excited for it. I just don't know where they're gonna take the story. It's gonna be very interesting because of where 8 left off, it was pretty weird. So,
Yeah.
um,
Do you think it'll be first person?
yes, a lot of
Okay.
people seem like the first person view.
Yeah.
I don't mind it because it's not like I'm playing like a fucking action game or a fucking online shooter or something like that. So I don't mind it.
Yeah.
And then we have the other games that are being remade and they're made in the third person. So I'm getting the best of both worlds, and so I don't mind it at all. I don't mind the newer Resident or the continuation of the Resident Evil being in first person because then they may swap it back to third person again later on. So
Mm-hmm.
it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not a Resident Evil guy, so I don't have much to say here, but this is big news. I mean, how soon do you think we'll get it? Like, you think by next year sometime? Probably.
Probably by the end of next year, or they usually release their games in the summertime or spring rather.
Yeah, because when did 8 come out?
Uh, Actually, I think 8 came out
2021?
in the fall. Yeah,
No, it was in the spring.
it was in the spring.
Hold on. Yeah, May 7th, 2021.
Okay,
That's what I thought.
yeah, we definitely should get it next year. Then that's about 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. It doesn't. I mean, these games aren't huge or anything, right? So
Yeah, no, they're very direct.
well
Um,
contained.
yeah, and they have their engine that they're using, so they know how to use that engine really well and how to get stuff out of it really well. So,
Mm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the most you may spend on a Resident Evil game is maybe if you want to stretch it, 15
Yeah,
hours,
yeah.
but you can finish the game like 8 hours. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine with me, so
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, that is big news, and we'll see when we get a reveal trailer. I'm sure it'll be coming at some point this year. I would assume so. All right. Moving on to our next story, which is another Capcom one. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster was revealed along with the release date. It is coming on September 18th, and this year, that is digitally. It's actually going to be coming. There'll be a physical release in November of this year as well. So, Dead Rising is returning. Um, this IP's been dormant for a while. I think it's been dormant for not 10 years, but somewhere in the realm of like 7 to 8 years. It's been a while. They made like 3 or 4 of these though, pretty quickly. But and then it went dormant for a while, so they're bringing it back. Montreal, have you ever played Dead Rising?
oh yeah, of course. Played Dead Rising 1, 3, and I didn't play 4. Uh,
Okay, yeah,
I think that maybe I played 4 and then played 3. I know I skipped 2. I skipped 2 because they didn't have Frank, and then I got over it. So,
mm-hmm.
oh no, I did play Dead Rising 4. It came back with Frank, I believe, but I
Yeah,
didn't like that game. It was okay. It wasn't the best. Um,
yeah,
uh, yeah, it wasn't the best. Dead Rising 3 was weird too. Um, that one was on the Xbox, but I actually liked that one a lot. A lot of people hated it because it was on the Xbox.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I think it was a good Dead Rising game. It wasn't as wacky as the older Dead Rising games. Um, but I don't know. Dead Rising has always been like a really weird franchise. I think this is probably they're trying to gauge where the franchise is at with this remaster.
yeah. Is there
Um,
interest?
yeah. Um, because the zombie horde craze is kind of over. You know what I'm saying? Dead
Yeah, but I
Rising.
mean, this game came out before that craze like really happened, right?
You think so? I
Yeah,
think Dead
it's
Rising
2006, dude.
is that the height of Walking Dead? When did Walking Dead come
No,
out?
Walking Dead didn't. I don't even think Walking Dead had started yet.
Was that 2008? Walking Dead came out.
Yeah, 2008, 2009. Yeah, the comic existed. Yeah, yeah, dude. It was 2010 till Walking Dead.
Oh,
Yeah,
but okay, you remember though, right? There were like tons of movies doing
yes,
the zombies thing, like 28
yes,
Days Later and all that
yes.
stuff. Like that was 2002. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I will say you're right. It probably started the whole zombie horde thing that was coming out
Yeah,
because once technology got better, um, I don't want to say everyone started to do it because I think they were the only ones pretty doing the zombie horror thing. Like, were there other games doing it? I mean, Lollipop Chainsaw. That's the only other zombie
that was
horror game.
old. That was older. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, this game was fairly unique. Like, there really haven't been many games that have like aped the formula here. I mean, the whole horde thing, running around a mall is like that. I mean, like you said, Lollipop Chainsaw, I think did a similar thing. It was kind of a copycat, but other than that, I mean, like this idea has not really been replicated since, which is kind of interesting. You kind of would have thought it would have, because yeah, it's a really interesting concept to me. It's kind of like a goofy survival game sort of, but it's also like an action game, and it is kind of a in a specific setting, where you don't really, I don't know if you leave the mall or anything. I don't think you do though in this game. So that's kind of an interesting, kind of a cool thing too. So I don't know. Weirdly, I've never played Dead Rising. I'm actually weirdly interested in this. Because yeah, it just kind of looks cool. Like these screenshots are running around this mall. Just sounds like a fun time. I don't know.
yeah. No, I think it's gonna be cool. I think the newer generation will actually like it a lot. Um,
Yeah.
hopefully, it gains interest in. I don't know if I want another franchise to come back, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. I would rather have like Breath of Fire come back or something like that more than Dead
Oh, you're
Rising.
never getting that.
That's just me.
I know. I
But
mean, I'm with you for sure.
I
It's
do
not
love
gonna
Dead
happen.
Rising a lot. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I love that franchise. I love Frank West and everything like that. Um, I just don't know if me personally, I wanted to come back. That's just me personally.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Well, I don't know. Looks cool. Running around beating guys with a baseball bat, beating zombies up.
yeah,
Um, could be a fun time. It's like a goofier Dying Light. It's kind of what I'm like in modern terms. It's kind of what it looks like.
yeah.
Because Dying Light has similar concepts where, like, I don't think the zombies in this game aren't like fast moving, right? For the most part, like they're just like slow hordes.
Yeah, majority of them you get. So the things that you really fight in especially in Dead Rising 1 or was it 2? Um I know in 3 they called them maniacs, but they're like other people and they had like these special abilities because they either not because they
Mm-hmm.
got taken up by zombies or anything, but they just like, find items and they were just crazy, whatever the case may be. So you had to fight
Yeah.
them. And those are essentially the bosses of the game. Um and Dead Rising was weird because you had a time limit as well. So it was like a score game. It wasn't um like you had 3 days to do certain objectives, and then you got airlifted out of the mall or whatever or the city or whatever the case may be. Then Rising 3 was like I think the first one that actually like had an actual storyline and open world and things to do and everything of that nature. But yeah, not Dead Rising 1 or 2. One and 2 was like, we have an objective and you got 3 days to do this objective and then you got to get out or whatever the case may be. So it was like a point based system, or at least Dead
Yeah.
Rising 1 was. I don't know about Dead Rising 2. Like I said, I didn't really play Dead Rising 2 that much. Um, but I know Dead Rising 1 was definitely like a point system type situation.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah, because that definitely reminds me of Dying Light. Like, because Dying Light has slow hordes during the day, and then at night you have the kind of like super fast zombies,
Yeah.
or whatever. So yeah. But no, it's an interesting looking game. I don't know if I'm actually gonna play it or not, but you know,
Oh, they
looking
called them
forward to it.
psychopaths. So they were psychopaths
Gotcha.
in
Okay.
Dead Rising 1, and then they were maniacs in Dead Rising 3. Those are
Okay.
the
Yeah.
bosses. Yeah.
Makes sense. I think they are releasing this at a reduced price too. I don't think it's going to be $70.
Okay.
So there's that too. But yeah. All right, Montreal. That's all we got for news today. This has been a really quiet week this week. There's not a lot going on in games. It's just kind of, I guess Final Fantasy 14's expansion came out, which I do want to check out. But in terms of actual news to cover on the show, not a whole lot going on. We got a dude in the UK running around with the Master Sword, though. Got arrested for that.
Well, it was like a replica. It's like a knife.
Yeah, it was like a knife. It was like 6 inches, I guess, or something like that. So
Yeah.
it was like, but I was gonna talk about it on the show, and then I started reading into it, and this guy's like actually like got a record, like he's had priors and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's just a fucking idiot then.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, I do one question before we go. I was looking at the comments of this Dead Rising article, and somebody in here is very cynical about this re-release. So I'm just going to read a little bit of what they said here. I think when Gen 9 is all said and done and the history is written, it will be recorded as the remake, re-release, rehash generation. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster is the latest trite example.
Actually,
he says more. I don't care about the rest of what he said. I just that one sentence. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that thought?
I actually do. I mean, yeah. I mean, we had a lot of remasters this generation, a lot of remakes.
Nintendo's gotten really egregious with it lately.
Yeah. Technically, if you want to be that guy, you can be like, well, actually, Nintendo, the Switch is Gen 8, but like, or actually, is it Gen 9? I think that's the first Gen 9 console, actually, isn't it? Because they're a gen ahead, right?
Yeah. Yes. Well, hold on. What do we got? NES, Super NES, N64, GameCube, Wii U, Switch. That's 7 for them.
7. Okay, they're a generation behind, or 2 generations behind.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, that makes more sense actually.
I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. I mean,
well, I guess what are we counting generations as though? Like, are they counting Atari before Nintendo? Then yeah, I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's how you look at it. In my opinion, it's probably going to be more known for, I think, the death of live service games. It was the birth and the death of live service games. I mean, Generation 8 had a lot of live service that carried over to this generation, and then they died. A lot of them died. Like, we had that mass exodus of it. Now we only got the big ones that are still doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting genre. I'm actually really curious about what's going to happen with live service games, because month after month after month, it's the same games being played, dude. You know, like nobody's moving off Fortnite. Nobody's moving off COD. You know, it's like these are the same games that we've seen. Nobody's moving off Minecraft. Like, these are the same games we've seen forever. GTA Online. It's like, everybody's trying to get their piece of the pie, and it just doesn't feel like anybody's succeeding. Like, even Helldivers 2, right? Like, that one's kind of fallen off really hard, you know? Like, no one's talking about that game anymore. As far as I understand it, like the number of players is decreased by like 85 or 90% or something.
In Helldivers?
Yeah, dude.
I still see a lot of people playing that game.
Yeah, but dude, it was like 450,000 though at any given time. Now it's like 40, you know, or something like that. So it's just still a lot of players. It's enough to sustain the game, certainly, but you know, they're not grabbing that zeitgeist and keeping it. You know, it's just like everybody's just going back to the other game that they played, you know.
Yeah.
And I do wonder what the industry does given that, you know, because Fortnite can't last forever, can it? I don't know.
I think they built a system where it can last forever, in my opinion.
Well, right. And I'm gonna point at League as an example and Dota as examples, right? Those games have been around. League's been around for 15 years, you know. Dota's been around. Dota 2 came out in 2012, I think, when it officially released. So, like, that's 12 years, and those games are running strong, you know. They're not as high as I think League in particular has definitely is lower than its peak. I think in terms of player numbers and stuff like that, but it's still very very strong. And it continues to do very well for Riot. So it's like I don't know. I guess Fortnite could go on for a long time. I mean, it's like the multiverse game. It's where everybody mashes they just throw their IP into it. Um, but if that's the case, that spell doesn't that spell very bad things for anybody else who wants to get in? There's just only so much. There's only so much air.
Yeah, according to this site here, this is the only site I can really find data on. For League, it looks like there are at least 1 million players right now.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
mean that sounds about right. No, I cannot find a fucking game in like a minute. Anyway, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's I think I think in the future that's what we're gonna look at. I think a lot of companies close down. I think what may actually happen is, um, as years progress, I think a lot of studios are going to get smaller,
Mm-hmm.
or we're going to start having like smaller games. Um, and
Yeah.
these big, huge teams like your BioWares and everything like that, they're going to be breaking. They're not going to break up BioWare. They're just going to have like 4 different teams working on 4 different games,
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. And they'll be smaller games or whatever. I think that's the only sustainable way to do it because, um, when you make a live service game, you need infrastructure. I mean, not only do you have to have a good gameplay loop, but you need the back end infrastructure, which is a lot of fucking money. A lot of people don't realize, um, and everything of that nature. And when you don't have the player count to sustain those servers in the back in the back end features, then the game's essentially dead.
Right.
Um,
Well, you need a microtransaction system that your player base actually uh, resonates with and
yeah.
interacts with
Mm-hmm.
consistently. It's got to be something that over a long period of time people spend money on. So that's the other issue that these games have is how cynically are they viewed when they launch. Because that might be Helldiver's problem. Is the game when the game came out, it was almost too generous, right? Like it gave out free premium currency, and the stuff in the shop didn't cost that much. Relative to other games, which is great. I love that. I think that's great. But in this space, it just doesn't seem to work that well.
Well, I think
Um,
Helldiver's problem is not even the microtransactions. I think they just needed more progression. There needed to be some kind of sense of um
hmm.
like a goal or something like that. And to me, there
Well,
wasn't a final goal in the game, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Isn't the problem that the game's progression is a difficulty progression rather than like actual content progression? You're just playing the same content over at higher difficulties, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I
Um,
would like to get something for me playing at the Helldiver, progression or whatever the case may be. Like, I
mhm.
don't know. That's just me. Like, it's a fun game to play. But I can play. I can jump into it, like maybe play like an hour or two a week, and then just jump off of it or whatever. But I didn't. I didn't. The problem is like I didn't want to. I burnt myself out of the game too early because now they added a lot of different features and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's still a good co-op game. You just need like progression, and you need like a sense of something there. I don't know how to explain it, but it just needs some kind of progression. A goal or whatever. They don't have to add money to it or anything of that nature. They can add like you know maybe we all if they can somehow do it like maybe have a huge raid boss where it's like 4 or 5 squads pull up with each other and we gotta fight that boss of the week or whatever because we've been you know
Mhm.
steadily doing all these missions, which for the community is great. But then I feel like at the end of the week, we all should be rewarded with like, hey, you guys got to fight, you know, these bosses, these queen terminates popped up on these planets, and you got to link up with like 5 of the squads to take this queen down, or something of that nature. I think that would have been like cool, or like you do some kind of highly or not coordinated raid, but like a raid on like one of the automatron's fortresses or something like that, and you gotta take the automatron out for that sector of the galaxy.
Hmm.
Something like that. And then it depends on how hard that is depending on how much the community has done as far as like meeting the goal, if that makes any sense. Um,
Hmm.
so I think they could have done something like that, because that's honestly that's where it loses me, because I'm like, man, there isn't like a final like super big boss that I can at least squad up with like three other squads at the end of the week or something like that. Like I would like to do that. I would like for that to be a thing, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the community doesn't want that. I don't know.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I don't know. Gen 9 remakes, re-release, rehash generation. I would say it's more the live service generation. I think these games are getting re-released to fill gaps in these companies' schedules. Like I really think that's what they're using it for, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't think it's, as long as it's not taking away from them making new stuff. I don't really have a particular huge problem with it. I actually like it in the sense that, like for instance, with Dead Rising as an example, introduces me to a game or a series that I've never played before in a way, like on modern hardware, that like I don't have to go out of my way to go find it.
Yeah, and I
So
do look at the remasters as because a lot of the remasters are on the servers now. I do look at it as a form of game preservation, whether it is predatory or not. We are getting a game preserved, you know.
yeah,
Um, um, I think it's unfair that we don't have some kind of game preservation and movies do.
yeah,
Despite it being made by different companies, there is a movie vault that holds in how, like, not an actual literal vault, but like that houses all the movies and stuff like that, and they make sure they record almost every movie that came out.
mhm,
And everything of that nature. Whereas we don't really have that. And unfortunately, we are losing out on the movie side. I mean, um, I don't know if you heard about that article, but Paramount just closed MTV News, and
mm,
all the articles associated with that are gone.
Jesus,
So we
yeah,
literally, like, our generation, like, me and your generation, like music news, have just gotten wiped out off the face of the planet. Like we can't get
crazy.
that back
Yeah, that
anymore.
sucks, dude. I hate that stuff. At least archive it in some way for preservation's sake or something.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, I just like getting rid of. I mean, there are people's work, like tons of work that was there that people did. That's just gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. I just think yeah, there should be something like in video games, even the worst video game you can imagine. I still think it should be preserved, in my opinion. It deserves that. People worked on the game, no matter if it was terrible or not. It deserves to be preserved and played. And I
Yeah.
really hate that Nintendo and um well just Nintendo. I really hate that Nintendo is going after these websites that are preserving their games that they refuse to fucking do. But you want to charge me like $4 a month for it. I don't think
Yeah.
that's fair. Um, I think in actuality they should do partnerships with that. But I mean, this is Nintendo. They're like, at least their legal division are literally is literally Satan. I think that division is ran by Satan. I like um they have some of the most, I don't know if their legal department seeks out the most fucking hardcore, like, hey, are you an asshole? Are you a stickler for the law? And they're like, yes. You're like, you're hired. And it's like, yeah, that's what Nintendo does. But yeah, like, but even some of these emulators and games and people, like, for instance, Perfect Dark, that just got released, is a terrible port. But then the emulated version of it, people kind of like remastered it, made it better for modern controls and everything of that nature. It's like these are people that are just doing this on their fucking free time. And it's
Yeah.
like, why can't y'all do that? So it doesn't take a full fucking remaster to do that shit, in my opinion. But I don't know. It is gonna be. It's gonna be interesting. Like 30 years from now, we're like old and dusty. Me and you, or everybody else is old and fucking dusty.
We're still
Um,
playing League. We're in the Rift.
what if the league?
They nerfed Virus. Oh, he's terrible now.
What if the league? What if league? You're joking, but what if league is legitimately still around where we're old as
You
fuck?
will. Why would it? Why wouldn't it be? Come
I mean,
on.
I mean, something could happen. Like maybe
Not
like
in like not like it could be League of Legends 2 or something, but like, it's been around 15 years. Why not 15 more? I mean, it's I don't know.
that's gonna be great. If you had a kid now, right? If you and
Yeah.
Amanda had a kid right now,
Yeah.
when he turns 15, maybe League of Legends 2 will be out. And then he starts playing League of Legends. How would you feel? Or she starts playing League of Legends. How would you feel?
Part of me would be like, "Attaboy," and part of me would be like, "No, I have to ban this game. I can't let my child do this
Or
themselves." Like,
worse, right? Or worse, what if Genshin Impact 5 is out?
no, nope, nope. That one is banned. That's not happening. I'm not letting them fall into that fucking rabbit hole. Okay. Yeah, Dad can play that game. You can't.
I mean,
What do you
yeah,
mean? What do you mean, Dad? That I can't I play the cute anime girl game?
exactly.
Don't
I,
worry, son. It's for your own good. Trust me.
I don't know. The way things are looking now, that all that shit may be banned in like the next 4 years anyway.
I
Shit.
hope so. I kind of hope so. I go through these phases where I play them and then I get really disgusted with myself. And like, because that's what happened the last couple weeks. I stopped playing them, and I've been that's where I've been jumped back into Against the Storm because of that. And it's like, it's like a real game. I'm playing a real video game. It's not trying to nickel and dime me. It's not trying to sell me fox skins or fucking sexy fox skins or sexy harpy skins. Like, nah, bro, it's just a game. It costs like $30, and you just play it, and it's great. It's a fun time. I need more. I need more shit, that shit in my life.
Yeah, I think this would be, in my opinion. I mean, he does say like that comment does say remaster generation, but I think this is the generation of live service, man. Like Genshin Impact, all those games. I mean, those are live service games. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, the person right below him, the first reply to him, said that.
oh really?
It's the live service generation by a long shot.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I think
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's where, obviously Fortnite was around before PS5 and Xbox Series X, and same with other ones like Apex and stuff like that, and League, but I think this is the generation where a lot of companies they're shooting their shot in this genre, in a way they weren't last generation,
yeah.
and we're seeing a bloodbath as a result. So
Yeah, I kind of cringe when I see like a new live service. I mean, that's why like Frag, I think it's called Frag Shot when that
yeah,
game was released or shown, like it looks cool. I'm just like, it's another hero shooter live service fucking game. Like I just don't care, Like I don't
yeah,
know.
no, I get you, dude. I think it's just, I mean, we've seen it. It's not novel anymore. These games aren't novel. It's like when PUBG came out, it was novel. It was unique. It was a new thing. We're well past that now, and it was the same thing with Overwatch, right? When Overwatch came out, it was new. It was unique. It was
Yep.
its own thing. It's like now, when we're in the 50th of these fucking games, it's not unique anymore.
Exactly. And it's not it's I don't blame PUBG or Overwatch, I blame everyone
I blame
copying
the
it.
industry for, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I blame the industry for fucking being copycats. Like, come up with your own fucking ideas, man. I just I don't I
I'm ti-
think
I'm
I
tired
don't
of the
know.
spin. That's what I'm tired of. Oh, let's put our own spin on this. Like I don't care. Like just come up with, and
Right.
I get it, right? Like well, Montrell, Bayonetta is nothing but a spin on Devil May Cry, and Devil May Cry is nothing but a spin on this, and I get it, and I understand that, and it happens in all genres.
Yeah, but these games aren't asking to dominate your life. Bayonetta is a
That's true.
20 hour game. It's like same with Devil May Cry. Like the sure, we do need innovation there too, but it's to a much lesser extent because like live service games, they want to dominate your time, they want to dominate your wallet, they want They don't want you doing anything else, you know.
Yeah,
And if
these
that's the kind of game you're gonna make, and that's what you expect out of your players, your game better actually be good and interesting, you know.
well, it's crazy that these companies are actually hiring psychologists and stuff like that just to
Yeah, figure out how to manipulate people.
figure exactly.
Yeah. Well, like
Because
Genshin, right? Genshin was unique when it came out, right?
it
And
was,
now it's like I played Wuthering Waves for a month and it was fun. I enjoyed it, but
but
it's just Genshin. It's just a
yeah,
different
you can just
flavor
go
of
back and play
Genshin.
Genshin. Yeah, you just go back
Yeah,
and play
whatever.
Genshin.
No, and God no, I don't want to touch that game
Yeah,
ever again.
but
You
I'm
know?
just saying, like you can just go back and play Genshin. Like if
No,
I'm
it's
playing
true.
Wuthering Waves, I could just go back and play Genshin.
No, they didn't do anything interesting there. They just copied Genshin and like they put a little bit of their own flavor on it. It's
Yeah,
like,
but
you know,
it's a trend, and it's not only with those games. I mean, I've been complaining about it for like the last 5 years, 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. With the whole Dark Souls clones and Souls like and all that shit like that.
oh
Like,
yeah, for
you know,
sure. Yeah.
From Software comes out with this like not in my opinion. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I like Dark Souls and Demon
Careful.
Souls. I like
Careful.
Demon Souls. I love both of those games. In my opinion, though, I don't think they intended the game to be this popular. I think a lot of the stuff that we have, like the button delay and all that shit like that, was like unintentional.
Yeah.
People just like steam through, like actually, it's a
Well,
part of the game.
they just they're like, oh, this was intentional design. Yes, Miyazaki's a genius. Input lag is what a genius idea in an action game. Yeah,
Exactly, and I don't think that was intended, but then they just kind of stuck with it, and yeah, I don't know, to the point where it's like I don't know. In my opinion, they got rid of that shit in Sekiro. Sekiro is, I'm still going to
oh,
say,
absolutely.
the tightest game they've ever made. I haven't played Elden Ring, the DLC. I beat the original game. I haven't beat the DLC yet because they did a map. They overlaid the map into the original map, and it's the same size. I'm not going to do that shit again. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry,
thank
y'all.
you.
I'm not going to do that
Holy
shit again.
shit!
Yeah, man. I'm
300
not doing.
hours, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not doing that shit again, bro.
Yeah,
Elden Ring, fucking, that was my last go at Dark Souls. I was like, this game fucking killed me, like literally killed me.
too much.
The last boss was like egregious. They patched it, by the way, where you can use the fucking horse as for the last boss, which would have been very helpful for my ass. I beat him without the fucking horse, and I literally was like laying down on the floor when I beat him. I was like, I beat it. I can rest now. I was like Thanos at the end of fucking end game. We just sat on the fucking porch and like watched the
Yeah,
birds and shit like
yeah.
that. I went out on my porch and I was just like, I finally fucking did it. I beat this fucking game. Um, but yeah, like the clones and shit like that, the Dark Souls clones and stuff like that. It's egregious in my opinion. Like it's just fucking egregious. I would rather get Sekiro clones, which you're finally getting, by the way. They have a live service Sekiro game coming out, like Genshin Impact style, but it's
Oh,
like, but it's Sekiro. Um, that's coming out too. Uh, but yeah, like I'm just like I'm over it, man. Even near right. I mean, it only has like one clone, but like I feel like there are going to be other clones that are coming out. Other
yeah.
spin-offs or other takes of like their near-esque genre of gaming. I mean,
Just make your own game, man.
yeah, Stellar Blade was literally like near but more raunchier. Like in my opinion, like I don't know.
Yeah, but I think I think that was my thing with Stellar Blade. Is like they did it right though. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
still made their own game. Yeah, sure, the inspiration was there and it was obvious, and some people couldn't get away from that, like when they were playing it. But to me, I felt like that was like their start point, and they just went in their own direction after that. You know,
yeah, yeah,
like so that's what I mean when I say like I don't mind if you take inspiration from another game. That's not a problem. But when you're just like blatantly copying them, and it's like these endless Dark Souls, fucking games, like dude, like Liza P and fucking all this shit.
Well, like
It's
Lords
like,
of the Fallen, and then it's the Lords of the Fallen. It's like, bro, what? Come on now, like
yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Well, everybody says Liza P is like super good, and I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't.
I've heard
I just don't. I
it's
don't
a good
need it.
blend
I
between
don't
Dark
need
Souls.
more of these.
Yeah,
It's just there's too many of them, dude. I don't know.
and
Um,
I don't know. The one game that really took me by surprise was the Surge. That came out super early. It was a
yeah,
Dark Souls clone, but it was like sci-fi.
sci-fi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, they're trying to put their own spin on it, with it or whatever. But um, I don't know. I mean, every point of gaming has this phase, like, or not phase, but
it's always been a copycat industry.
yeah. I mean, because you remember Prototype, and then, in my opinion, Infamous was going neck and neck with each other.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
remember that.
Infamous was kind of a little bit was better than Prototype. I still like Prototype, but yeah, like they had their neck and neck as well. Um, Everybody was making their version of, like, the medieval fantasy action RPG type game. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, and then we had our open world RPG phase.
Oh my fucking god! That
Um,
right there is probably the worst phase ever.
well, now we're just in the open world everything phase. Everything's open world. Doesn't matter what genre it is.
I fucking hate that shit, man.
Yeah, it's fucking irritating as hell. Um, so
Well, I
I don't.
mean, and then, like, I don't know if you want to call it the Ninja Storm clone or the Tenkaichi Storm clone, but
Oh,
I thought we finally got away from it. And then Sparky, Tenkaichi 4, whatever the fuck it's called, Sparking Rage Sparking,
yeah,
whatever, Spark
fucking
Burst.
zero, isn't it, or something? I don't know.
Yeah, that game comes out and it looks really fucking good, but it's like, no, don't get me wrong. Like, Tenkaichi does have actual combos, like different buttons to press it and everything like that.
I want Budokai 4. Just give me Budokai 4. I don't want Tenkaichi, dude.
Yeah, they do have actual combos and stuff like that, but it's just like, I don't know, you kind of reinvigorated the genre again. Like, we were over it. Like, we were almost there. People were
Yeah.
tired of it, and then y'all come out with this bullshit. It's like, well, it's not bullshit, but it's just like, well, time to get another 10 more years of fucking arena fighting anime games. Let's go, baby.
Well, you saw that Jujutsu Kaisen one, right?
Oh
That
my,
one's
oh my,
fucking horrible, dude.
oh my fucking! I can't believe they released that game.
I know. I know. I don't, dude. If I made something like Jujutsu Kaisen, right, like an IP like that, like some kind of world like that, I was the author of it, and somebody released a game like that, I would be so fucking pissed off. You know?
I think they just see money at a certain point. Maybe they're so focused on Jujutsu Kaisen that, or the actual story, that they don't care. They're probably like, "Hey, we want this game. Okay, whatever.
Sure,
I'm
yeah,
focusing.
free. It's free money to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
whatever. I'm
Oh
working
my
on this
god, I
story."
don't know, man. Like there is that way to take it, but then there's the other way where you're like really meticulous and you want everything to be perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
I
it
don't
would
know.
be so cool as a fucking RPG or action RPG game, like almost like
Most
Kingdom
most
Hearts
animes
game.
would be like that. Yeah, dude, a Naruto RPG would be awesome. Like an actual open world RPG would be so cool. Can you imagine, dude, where you like
You go
you have to
to
go on missions,
Oh
and
my
you're like
god, yeah,
you go to like the land of the waves or land of the mist or something something like that, and you have to like actually be a ninja, and like be stealthy and shit, and then you get caught and you're in the middle of a fight, you get into a fight or something. It's like, but it's not like a beat 'em up where it's like the fights would be like really hard, anytime you're
yeah.
fighting ninjas it would be like really difficult.
Yeah, you
um
have to use actual, like, while you're fighting them, strategy,
you know
and use the
use
environments
your
around you.
tools and shit, yeah,
Yep.
use the environment, yeah, right. It's like, can you imagine, Montreal?
I
Can you
can't imagine
imagine?
because we're never getting it. I can't imagine.
I
I'm
know
sorry.
we're never gonna get it. No, I know we're never gonna get it. Bandai's never gonna do anything like that.
I
But
mean, with the
it could
state of
be an amazing
Boruto,
video game.
with the state of Boruto, we're never getting that shit, bro. I I watched like one episode of that Boruto shit, bro,
Hmm.
and I literally wanted to like gouge my eyes out. I was just like, I
You
can't
want
believe what they're
a
doing to
fire
my
bag?
boy. I can't believe it, man.
Yeah. I've seen some clips. It's pretty bad.
I mean, they have one clips where they put money into the episode, But everyone just tells me, which I do, just read the manga is better. The manga is a lot better, but it's just like I personally don't like Boruto. I think he's a whiny little bitch, in my opinion. But that's probably because I grew up with Naruto, so it's just like
Well,
I
why does it
understand.
even need to exist? I don't just. You already made Naruto. Like we don't need another. We don't need another one. You know. I don't know.
I don't know. Apparently, the manga was so bad that Kishimoto had to come back and was like, "All right, I got to take over again."
Yeah, I know. We always talk shit about Kishimoto, but like see what happens when he's in there. It would have been a lot worse,
Well,
guys.
he tried to make another anime or another manga, Samurai 8, and it flopped. So
God,
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have the spark. Maybe this was like his one-off spark. You know?
his one thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, if it's his one thing, it's excellent. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, he created a really cool world. So
he did. Yeah, I
I don't
can't
know.
deny that. You know?
Yeah,
So
but
I don't know. I just don't want any more fucking. I don't mind clones. I don't mind inspiration. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't mind inspiration. I just really want it to be your own thing at the end of the day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I shouldn't I shouldn't feel like the clone aspect of it is permeating through the whole game. You know, where you're like I felt that way with Wuthering Waves, where it's just like it's just a blatant copy of Genshin Impact, dude. You know, when you are copying little things like giving your players one premium currency for looking at a tutorial, you are just copying. There's no reason for that to have been in both games, you know? Like that is a stupid thing in Genshin Impact. There was no reason to bring that over. Like give your players 5 or 10 premium currency. It's not going to hurt you that much, you know? It's like one premium currency when a 10 pull is 1600. What a fucking joke. It's insane. That's completely absurd. Like it's a stupid fucking. So when you're doing shit like that, you are just copying your quote inspiration. You know, it's just
Yeah.
blatant. It's blatant and obvious. So that stuff I'm a lot. I don't know. I'm not as into that anymore. So it's I don't know. Yeah. But Montrell, let's get the fuck out of here. Anything any plans for the 4th tomorrow?
No, I am probably turning off everything and just chilling. Like
Okay.
that's it. Yeah.
We're
I
gonna
was
go
I was gonna try to go to my uncle's house, but
yeah.
nah, I'm just gonna stay home.
Yeah, we're gonna go see some fireworks in the evening nearby, but otherwise probably just gonna be chilling for the most part too. But they're gonna have some food trucks set up in a neighborhood near us and stuff, so that'll be fun. And then we'll see some fireworks. So, all right, man. Well, let's get the hell out of here. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show whenever whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please go on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. That will help us out a lot over there. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. That'll be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this one. We hope you had a good 4th of July, because you'll be hearing this after the 4th. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.